The firecrackers went off. The French soldiers thought the Chinese were at war. Fired back. Actually, this is just a send-off for the Qing dynasty's governor Lu Yangfei. The lion dancer got scared and lost control. The send-off is about to go awry. Just then a white figure grabbed the lion costume, wiggled on the rope and turned. Quickly took off the lion's head. Brought the house to applause. This man is the warrior Huang Fei-hung. He's the leader of the militia. He is famous for his shadowless body and feet. He also runs a hospital called the Treasure Grove. He's usually a vigilante, respected by all. This day a vegetable seller was shot and wounded by foreigners without provocation. Huang Fei-hung is angry when dealing with foreigners. At a pork stand outside, the two groups came to blows. It was a tough fight. The crowd around here is having a good time. Someone else poured boiling water from upstairs to spice up the fight. Red eyes on both sides, barging into the dining room where the matter was being discussed. But they didn't stop. And even more so, the foreigner saw this and left quickly. Huang Fei-hung takes a closer look. It was his apprentice Pork-Wrong, led the militia to fight the Sand River Gang. So it's the Sand River Gang running roughshod over the streets, in conflict with his protege Pork. The most important thing now is to stop this farce. Huang Fei-hung shows his skill in the crowd, constantly shuttling, trying to break up the fight. And soon the soldiers arrived. The Sand River Gang ran away when they saw the situation was wrong. It was a mortal sign to run into foreigners in those circumstances. The new lieutenant general immediately arrested Huang Fei-hung's militia. Not until we find the other gang involved in the fight, or we will never let these people go. In desperation, Huang Fei-hung had to find a way, search for the Sand River Gang and rescue the militia. A restaurant. A Scarface with his little boys just walked right in. He is blackmailing his boss. The boss begged and pleaded, but Scarface just grabbed the cash box. We'll be leaving. Then Scarface was suddenly knocked down by an umbrella. He took a closer look. It's a guy in a long shirt and sunglasses. What a coincidence. Huang Fei-hung easily found the Sha River Gang. Boss Scarface will do it right away. Beat the shit out of the Sand River boys. Scarface brandished the bench to attack Huang Fei-hung. But by Huang Fei-hung with umbrella non-stop whipping. And then he was kicked down the stairs. Huang Fei-hung uses umbrella natural and unrestrained fall to the ground. And grabbed Scarface. He's going to take Scarface to the government. Hopefully the neighborhood will testify to Scarface's guilt. But people can watch, but no one will testify. For lack of evidence, the government released Scarface on the spot. The vigilantes will continue to be detained. Scarface has a grudge. That night he summoned his boys to set fire to his treasure grove. The scene happened to be witnessed by a passing foreign missionary. Huang Fei-hung quickly climbed to the roof to check the situation. He broke off a branch and knocked down the incoming swords. The Sand River Gang turned and ran away. Huang Fei-hung reported the case to the government. This time, foreign missionaries testify. The prefect quickly accepted the case and sent troops to hunt down the Sand River Gang. Scarface knew that the government is afraid of foreigners. He quickly went to Jack, an American businessman, and asked for asylum. He knew Jack was lying to the Chinese. Go to the United States to do hard labor in San Francisco. So he offered to help Jack abduct the women. As a condition of asylum, Jack saw a profit in it. He agreed at once. And now they have a common enemy, Huang Fei-hung. To solve Huang Fei-hung this trouble, they set a trap. Invite the Admiral of Guangdong Navy at the wharf. Watch a play with Huang Fei-hung. Huang Fei-hung and Fei Ant, who is not related to him, together came to the garden to see the play. But in fact, today's actors are the killers of Fei-hung. Then Huang Fei-hung sat down and suddenly attacked. Huang Fei-hung overpowered two killers. But then a bunch of killers popped up. They slashed at Huang Fei-hung with knives. Huang Fei-hung's bare hands. A few blows knocked the killer to the ground. More and more killers. All hell broke loose. The lieutenant quickly ordered the Qing army to protect the foreigners to go first. But the foreigners did not distinguish. Shoot at the Chinese civilians present. Huang Fei-hung is very anxious to stop the foreigners. And foreigner pointed the gun to Huang Fei-hung immediately. At this moment, Sand River Gang wants to use lime powder to subdue Huang Fei-hung. And then accidentally came to his rescue. Huang Fei-hung only with fists and feet and a long stick in his hand. He shot the killer to pieces. But then a gun was suddenly pointed at him. Lieutenant with people surrounded Huang Fei-hung. There's a flag next to it. It says the militia won glory. To kill the foreigners. This is clearly a setup. But the lieutenant doesn't know what's true. He is to borrow this opportunity to capture Huang Fei-hung. Mr. Huang had little to say. He just suggested that we must first return to Beiji Forest to treat the civilians wounded by foreigners. The prefect agreed. But he had sentinels at the gates of the treasure grove to keep him from escaping. And Huang Fei-hung in the treatment of injured people. But accidentally learned of an American's shocking plot. In a marketplace, a man is vigorously propaganda that America has a gold mountain. There was gold everywhere. The river is full of gold sand. And everyone has to wear sunglasses. Because the gold is too much too dazzling. That kind of nonsense gets people excited. The registration fee was paid immediately. But it was actually a scam by Jack, an American businessman. They spread the word about going to Jinshan to make a fortune. In fact, he tricked the Chinese into using them as coolies. One of the coolies jumped off the boat and swam back, finally saved by Fei-hung. And the plot that Fei-hung also was informed Jack. But he was put under house arrest. Can't get around. Right around the tongue. Yan Qiangdong, a martial artist from Shandong province, came to the challenge. He directly upset the guard guarding Fei-hung. Fei-hung knows. The lieutenant must have thought he was running away. Then let the apprentice take coolie to evacuate quickly. He himself followed the prefect back to office. I didn't expect to be on the run. 15 ants and coolies bump into each other. He ran into American territory. Met the Sand River gang. Scarface will be 15 and arrested. He's gonna bring her and the other women here tonight. Sell them to the United States. Scarface afraid of Fei-hung to revenge. So Yan Qiangdong was invited to see the court. Fei-hung heard 15 ants caught in prison. In one's heart. Fortunately in weekdays Fei-hung chivalry. The jailer admired him very much. They secretly let him and the militia go. Fei-hung and his apprentice hurried to the American merchant ship. And Yan has been waiting here for a long time. Yan Qiangdong's heart gigong. It has reached the level of invulnerability. No matter how many punches Fei-hung throws, Yan Qiangdong like nothing happened. Yan Qiangdong also wears a secret device in his hair. Attack Fei-hung. Fei-hung cast Fei-hung's shadowless foot. Hit him in the face like crazy. Yan Qiangdong was taken care of. Fei-hung hurried to rescue the 15 ant. Jack came along at the same time. To prevent himself from being found guilty of human trafficking. He wants to sail as soon as possible. As soon as we get those women out of here. Fei-hung has no proof. What can we do with him? Jack orders his soldiers to shoot at Fei-hung. But by Fei-hung hid in the past. When the soldier saw that his fire was futile, he brought out his cannon again. But I didn't think. Fei-hung's apprentice, Yasu, can speak English. A distraction. The Americans actually hit the British ships with shells. At a time when the commander also took officers and men to capture Fei-hung. And 15 saw this. Called the lieutenant for help right away. Jack saw that he was exposed as a human trafficker. Kidnapped the lieutenant directly, want to coerce Fei-hung. But Fei-hung doesn't buy that. He jammed a bullet into his palm. Then he made a leap toward Jack. The internal forces of the course. Pull out one snap at the avatar. The prefect was saved. Fei-hung exposed the ugly face of foreigners. Rescued trafficked women and laborers. And the lieutenant after Jack attacked him. And cured him of his obsession with foreign things. Fei-hung and the governor stood side by side. Looking at the mountains in the distance. The governor wondered if there was a gold mountain in the world. Fei-hung answered if there is gold mountain. Then why did the ocean ship come all the way to China? Actually, there is indeed a beautiful and rich gold mountain in the world. And the Chinese have all stood in this place. King's of 5,000 splendid civilization.